Dear friends in Christ, grace and peace be to you from God our Father and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. That's our new sound check. Works. Last Sunday, testing 1, 2, 3. I can use this one. Electric. What's that for? All right. I'll see if I can do it. Use the left side of my brain. Okay. Last Sunday, we witnessed perhaps the high point of Simon Peter's career as a disciple, when he confessed Jesus as the Messiah, the Son of God. And Jesus proclaimed Peter the rock upon which I will build my church. This was way in that northernmost region of ancient Palestine, in Caesarea Philippi, under the shadow of the temple of the Greek god Pan, where he made this pronouncement. Well, Jesus had just promised to give Peter the keys to the kingdom of heaven, which perhaps filled the disciples' head with visions of sugar plums and glory. It was to be a short-lived moment of petty thoughts. For in almost the next sentence, Jesus lowered the boom with a description of what it would mean to be this church and how he was going to die. Jesus described to his disciples how he must go south to Jerusalem, where he would undergo great suffering at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, be killed, and on the third day rise. Well, this is all too much for Peter, now that he was second in command and the heir apparent to the Lord's kingdom. This wasn't the kingdom, though, that Peter envisioned. In fact, none of the disciples could imagine such things happening with Jesus. This message wouldn't play if Jesus said such things to the crowds that were waiting for him to speak. So Jesus' new chief of staff, Peter, took Jesus aside and told him so, that he couldn't speak of such things, for it was upsetting his base. He needed to get a grip on himself, lest everything he was building come tumbling down. So Peter told Jesus, "This must never happen to you." And then Jesus answered with that stinging rebuke. "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but human things." Could you just call it the rock on which you would build this church? You see, Peter, in his brief moment of pride in being chosen by Jesus for special responsibility, became confused about the mission that Jesus was giving him and its goal. Peter had twisted in his mind the good news of the gospel when Jesus called it the kingdom of heaven. And he confused it with the earthly kingdoms that he was familiar with, as shown by those kings called Herod, the Roman emperor called Caesar, and many others. He knew those kingdoms well, as they ruled by force and intimidation. Their rulers had great wealth, and they lorded it over them. For Jesus to be forced to suffer and die by these evil forces, and that he and other disciples wished to be free from, that offended Peter. It was greatly disturbing that the Son of God couldn't be vulnerable. They couldn't let this happen to Jesus. They would fight, and they would die for him. Right? Well, then Jesus told his disciples, "If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their lives will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it." We've heard this many times before. Did you hear that? Upon this riddle rests the entire meaning of the gospel. And it's a riddle that few humans understand. It is only possible to live such a life of trust through faith, entrusting everything to God, being willing to let everything go. But who can do this? How can it be that in order to live, one must first be willing to die? And so attain the gift of life, that first you must lose it in the merciful hands of God. That's the riddle. Now you and I can spend a lifetime of faith seeking to understand this great mystery. We might never understand it, but the truth is, we may actually be on the way to understanding just by living according to Jesus' challenge. Perhaps the process is the thing. That the life is actually the way of life seeking to follow Jesus in his words and example. Which is why before the church actually became a quote-unquote religion called Christianity, it was called the way. The way of faith, following Jesus, seeking deeper truths of God in Jesus' example. So we seek to follow Christ, but we never really get there, to that place of understanding, because it's not a place at all. And the kingdom is not a place either. It's a way of life. That's the mystery. And the way cannot be fully described except to hear and tell stories of the people you meet and listen to on the way, who show you what God's love is and what mercy looks like, and surprise you and me by showing us the face of Christ. Like the stories of human vulnerability and fear seen this past week, as we watched from afar the devastation wrought by Hurricane Harvey on the south Gulf Coast of Texas. As all of Houston and surrounding cities were submerged underwater, and we saw how so many responded to the danger with mercy and even heroic action to pull people out of submerged cars and off of rooftops at great risk to themselves. It didn't even have to be heroic to get our attention. For after weeks and months of becoming fatigued by the partisan bickering and hateful words and actions in our nation this year, it was like a healing balm to see neighbors acting like neighbors. Black, brown, and white neighbors helping one another survive nature's wrath, actually acting like people of faith, like Christians, Jews, Muslims, or those with no faith to mention, except that everyone acted humanely for at least a week. God be praised. Right? Now, it was just 2 weeks ago that images from Charlottesville, Virginia were fresh in our minds. Visions of young white men carrying torches, carrying old Confederate battle flags, and shouting Nazi slogans of blood and soil gave us nightmares. And they brought back painful memories to those who survived the Holocaust in Nazi Germany 70-some years ago, and strife in the South in the 50s and 60s. Seeing swastikas and tilted St. Andrew crosses on red battle flags renewed that image of the horrifying consequences when the power of the cross is twisted into a symbol of hate. Okay? The cross's power as a symbol of God's love and mercy when Jesus died on the cross that day back in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago can be too easily twisted in human minds into a sign of hate and vengeance against imagined fears and grievances with dire consequences for those who are vulnerable scapegoats. Maybe it makes sense, because the cross in itself is not a particularly loving symbol, right? What was it used for? It's a strange symbol, actually, to represent Jesus and those who follow him. The cross was always a tool of execution, death, torture, and domination. Invented by ancient Persians, utilized most fully by the Romans to execute traitors, non-citizens, murderers, and slaves. It was a frightfully familiar symbol to the people following Jesus, as revolutionaries and thieves were commonly executed and hung on crosses along roadsides and at the entrances to cities to strike fear into the population and keep them in line. To use a cross as a symbol for Christians was to make clear that the cross no longer held power over them when one had no more fear of death. To wear the cross would mean you follow Jesus, who was willing to give up his own life on a cross for the sake of the whole world, and for every person who wore that cross around their neck, or simply as a sign with oil on their forehead. To make the cross a sign of Christian faith means that we reject the power of hate over us, because we no longer fear the threat of death, and we are willing to risk our own vulnerability for the sake of others. Not because we are so courageous or noble, but because we seek to follow Jesus and his example. Which means we're probably not all there yet. A symbol and concept so familiar to the world was bound to be twisted by some. In the last century, we saw the National Socialist Party under Adolf Hitler use the swastika, an ancient Hindu symbol meaning good fortune or well-being. That's what symbol actually means, which is similar to a twisted cross, and emblazoned it on flags and banners throughout Nazi Germany during World War II. So it is now a hated symbol of Nazi devastation and hate, which led to the Holocaust and is now banned in Germany. During the Civil War, Confederate armies used a St. Andrew's cross decorated with white stars on a red background as a battle flag in their defense of slavery as their God-given right. Though it was outlawed and disappeared from view after the Civil War for a while, Ku Klux Klan adopted it, and the battle flag was flown in support of Jim Crow laws and segregation throughout the South in the 1920s and throughout the battle for civil rights in the 1960s and 50s. It has become a symbol of racism and racial hatred, used now mainly by white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and hate groups, along with torches, burning crosses, and swastikas in rallies for white power and segregation. Let's be clear on that. That's what it's for. These flags and symbols have inspired more violence in this past year, and so the Confederate battle flag has been banned from some southern state capitals. It is truly twisted theology and a perversion of Christianity to think that battle flags and swastikas and what they represent have anything to do with Christian beliefs, although some make that claim. They are not symbols of any heritage worth remembering except to reject. Well, let's have an amen on that. Amen. So our Christian response to the words of exclusion or hate spoken today by some who profess to be Christians are stated clearly by Jesus, that we who follow him are willing to deny ourselves, take up our cross, not a flag, and follow him. The Apostle Paul gives us a roadmap to that way of following Jesus and what it means in our daily lives. In our second lesson from Romans, just read by Brother Robert here, which is my favorite passage in all of Paul's writings, by the way. Probably because he most closely follows Jesus' words and example here. So turn to it, please. Follow along. I'm going to read it again in the context of what I've been talking about. So here's the roadmap to what do we do with this context of hate that we're in and how we follow Jesus. Let love be genuine and hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another, showing honor. Do not lag in zeal. Be ardent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints, whether they be in Jerusalem, Houston, or in your own hometown. Extend hospitality to strangers. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Do not claim to be wiser than you are. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, but take thought for what is noble in the sight of all. If it is possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. No, if your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. For by doing so, you will heap burning coals upon their heads. So do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. That's the roadmap. Of course, we know what happened to the disciples. Doing good has consequences. But these are the healing words our nation and the church needs most today. What should we do as Christians in response to all this mess we are in? It could be as simple as invite your enemy for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. It would be a start. Have coffee with a neo-Nazi? It could be more dramatic, like stepping out to give a helping hand in a natural disaster like a hurricane or a flood, or to take some real risks. But it all begins with prayer, as you and I ask for God's guidance and strength as we gather as people of faith to confess our failings and our sins, hear God's word, and seek to follow Jesus with our next step. Maybe it starts with us making plans today to invite our neighbors across the street to join us for lunch next Sunday. And gather school supplies for children in our community who need our help. It's very simple, really. It starts with some very simple baby steps. It gets harder and more complicated indeed when the way is less clear to us, when we're challenged, or we experience pushback, or lose our nerve.